on really a number of things. First of all, we're going to be getting data from the first quarter. We're talking crime data for the first quarter of 2025 in the city of Akron. Next, he's going to discuss a new sports and wellness initiative, and then he's going to give updates on something called the Street Team Pilot Program and the Scout program. So the mayor of Akron going to be giving a number of updates here as they're just about set to get underway. So let's take you live to Akron.
We're excited to be here with you. We have several important announcements and updates regarding a variety of public safety initiatives and programs here in the city of Akron. I'm Stephanie Marsh. I'm Director of Communications. You're going to be hearing from a lot of different folks today. As you can see, we have our mayor, Shamus Malik, Akron Police Chief Brian Harding, Public Safety Strategist Tony Ingram, our Fire Chief Leon Henderson, our Youth Opportunity Strategist Danico Buckley-Knight, and then our Director of Neighborhood Assistance Ufrency Lash on the end. I also want to take a moment and recognize and thank all of our partners who are here with us today and those who couldn't make it. I'm going to go through my list so I don't miss anybody. So Rachel Tecca, Executive Director of Youth Success Summit, is here with us today, as well as the Out of School Time and YSS Network consultant, Dr. Ellen McWilliams-Woods, and YSS coach Tyler Newkirk. We also have the YSS Board Chairman, Dr. David James. From Portage Path Behavioral Health, we have President and CEO, Dr. Tracy Yeager, and Senior Director of Crisis and Emergency Services, Brianna Day. From the ADM Board, Executive Director Amy Wade could not join us this morning, unfortunately, and neither could Dr. Doug Smith, but we are very happy to have the communications guru, Amy Woodland, here on their behalf. We also have founder and CEO of Minority Behavioral Health Group, Pastor Jeffrey Dennis, with us. At this time, I'd like to kick it over to Akron Police Chief Brian Harding to start us off.
Well, good morning, everybody. We're happy to really announce today some really good information around our first quarter 2025 crime stats. We continue to see crime go down in the city of Akron in pretty much every major category compared to the first quarter of 2024. I think it's also important to note that we also saw a decrease in 2024 from 2023. We'll be passing out hard copies of our dashboard that will have all this information I'm about to share, but you also can always get this. We update this every month, and it's available on our website, akroncops.org. If you click on crime data or on our transparency hub on the left, you'll see what's called the Chief's Dashboard. We update these stats every month. But today I'm going to share some of those highlights. Calls for service have decreased 7%, and our 911 calls into our dispatch center are down roughly 5% throughout the first quarter. Shootings and shots fired calls for service have decreased 9%. Firearms-related offenses are down an impressive 40%. Also, shootings and habitation are down over 32%. Through the first quarter, we've had one fatal shooting incident involving an adult and 11 non-fatal shooting incidents. Overdose deaths have increased significantly. They're down almost 59% compared to last year. For reported crime, robbery is down 39%. Felonious assault is down 37%. Burglary has stayed roughly around even from last year. Breaking and entering is down 7%, and our auto thefts have decreased 28%. Also happy to report our use of force numbers have decreased 27%, and we've seen a significant decrease on assaults on officers. That's down in excess, roughly around 56%. Due to these total increases, though, we have seen a decrease in our firearm recoveries. They're down roughly 49%. There is one area we've seen an increase in 2025, and unfortunately that's been sexual assaults. In 2023, we had 77 reported rapes. That number decreased significantly last year to 50. Unfortunately, we're trending similar to 2023, and we're at 73 this year. One area we see and attribute this uptick to is we've seen an increase in juvenile and juvenile-related sexual assaults. Because of that, we continue to work with our partners, Summit County Children's Services, the Akron Public Schools, and the Akron Children's Hospital Care Center to help these victims. We also provide victims with resources to community organizations that specialize in this kind of trauma. I would like to say our detectives continue to work diligently on each of these cases, and I think that shows in some of the results that we've seen. Through the work overall and with our partners, we hope to see these numbers go back down for the rest of this year. Overall, we're very glad to report the decrease in almost every category of crime that we track here in the city of Akron. I think this really speaks volumes to the work that our officers do here every day, especially when we talk about building community relations, engaging with our community, building partnerships with our community organizations, and forging really lasting relationships with our residents. We also attribute these declines to our really focus with our local and state and federal partners around using data to prioritize gun violence and gun crime. I really want to thank our officers and each of our community organizations, many you'll hear about today, for the impact they make each and every day. I want to also talk about something exciting coming up. We know as the summer months come, we, as long as most places in the nation, see an uptick in crime. To help combat this, our traditional spike, we're co-hosting an event with the Akron Fire Department, Lock 3, and Ron Marhofer of the Marhofer Auto Group. It's going to be called the Cruise into Summer event, which will be held on June 5th, that's Thursday, from 5 to 7:30 in Lock 3. The event celebrates the last day of school and the beginning of summer break for our APS students. It's intended to be a family-friendly celebration to kick off a safe summer by welcoming kids to Lock 3 with an evening of games, food, entertainment, and summer resources to help students stay safe and busy throughout the summer. I want to also thank everyone that made this possible with the generous contributions from several local businesses. Cruising to Summer is more than just fun. It's truly an opportunity for us to continue to build strong, safe, and positive relationships with our community and our youth. So please mark your calendars. We'll be sharing some more information on that on social media as well. The last highlight we have is many of our partners here know that our prior PIO, Mike Miller, was recently promoted to Deputy Chief, and Mike's in the back. Congratulations, Mike. So he'll no longer be serving in that role as our Public Information Officer. But very happy to welcome Lieutenant Mike Murphy, who's in the front here, who many of you probably already know. He's been in that role for a couple weeks now. And if you don't know Mike, please at the end of the press conference take a chance to go up and introduce yourself, get his number. I'm really excited for both the promotions and the movement that's occurring in the police department, and extremely excited for our updates in these numbers. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Chief, for sharing all that data. And another way that we are addressing public safety in the city of Akron is through our Street Team Pilot Program. This was something we announced last year, but haven't said too much about it yet. So today, to give us a little bit of update about how that program has progressed, I'm happy to welcome up our public safety strategist, Tony Ingram.
Thank you, Steph. Thank you all and good morning. We first announced the Street Team Pilot Program last year during the Mayor's State of the City address. In October of last year, 2024, we released additional details about how this program will work as a violence intervention strategy. The Akron Street Team Pilot is a community outreach program that focuses on violence interruption, outreach, prevention, mentoring, and connecting individuals and families with existing community resources. The Street Team Pilot, along with some other programs that you will be hearing about today, are some of the innovative ways the Mayor's Office is reimagining public safety for our community. We partnered specifically with Minority Behavioral Health to help hire, train, and cultivate the street team of our credible messengers who are interacting directly with our residents deemed to be at risk for violence and to help de-escalate any conflicts that may arise. The pilot program has been put together with technical assistance and training from the Rehoboth Project, a national leader in the community violence intervention space, and also involves an evaluation process to determine future growth of the program. The pilot was developed from a public health approach, which really focuses on what some of the root causes are that we can look at in our community that lead to some of the violence and gun violence that's out there. The program is a blending of elements of street outreach, violence interruption, case management, community navigation, mental health, and data analysis. Our first credible messenger was hired in January of this year. We also added another full-time credible messenger at the beginning of February and a part-time messenger in March. And so the team is now fully staffed and are out actively in the community doing their work. Since January, the team has engaged in building relationships in our community through a variety of ways. They have met with 30 previous violent offenders and those at high risk of engaging in future violence. So they're actively out there talking with the folks who many are known to be actively engaged in violent activity. They've had an additional 40 visits to individuals in hospitals, at our juvenile court, into prisons, and making further connections with individuals. They've had over 125 phone calls where folks have contacted them to say, hey, listen, can you talk to my young person, or some other outreach efforts. So they are active out there doing this work. This is just the beginning of the pilot. We are very excited by the results we are seeing so far. And one of the things, if I can quickly share, just a quick story, one of the things that they do is they're outreaching to some of our youth organizations. And these are youth, again, who are at risk. And in one of those encounters, there was a young man who recently had to deal with his father, who had been sentenced to prison for a very long period of time. And so that trauma, naturally, he began to exhibit some different symptoms of that trauma of losing his father and going to prison. Our street team engaged with him, engaged with his teammates, and asked about, tell us what a future looks like for you. What do you want to be when you get older? And one of those things that he said he wanted to be a firefighter. And so our team reached out to me and asked if I could reach out to our fire chief just to talk to this young man, to help give him hope that it is possible, despite what's happening. You can become not only just a firefighter, but you can become the chief of fire here in the city of Akron. So that's just one of the amazing outreach efforts that they have, how they work alongside of what our traditional safety forces are doing. They're making those inroads and outreach in the community. So I'll close with, I want to thank our Credible Messenger team for the work that they're doing. I really want to thank Chief Henderson for spending his time with that young man. It is, we won't know completely what that is, but I know that young man was amazed when that happened. So that's my update. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you for sharing that story. I think that's such a great example of the importance of this work and what it can do by touching just one individual, and eventually that can have ripple effects in our community. So we're really excited about the future of that program and what it can become. Another program that we're really excited about and has a little bit more experience under its belt is the Scout Team, which was launched last year in collaboration with our partners, ADM Board, Portage Path Behavioral Health, and then, of course, Akron Police and Akron Fire. So that program has been in progress now for over a year. And so today, I'm happy to welcome up Akron Fire Chief Leon Henderson to give us an update about how that's gone.
Stephanie, thank you very much for those kind words, and you're doing an outstanding job, Director. I have a few remarks to share with everyone, but I want to basically just talk from the heart for a second, in reference to enhancing what we're doing in this city for the community and for that support that we're giving the community. Thanks for Mayor Malik for his vision in instituting that, and you'll understand how we're all connected together in this ecosystem to have a better, safer community. That being said, one of the highlights of my career as being fire chief is interacting with our youth. So I want to thank Mr. Tony Ingram for introducing me to the street team coordinator and inviting me to speak at their recent meeting, where I had the opportunity, and I mean the opportunity, to meet a young man, because we're here for service and actually dedicating our lives to make people's lives better. To aspire to be a firefighter, I emphasize the importance of strong academics, good school attendance, and positive decision-making as key steps towards becoming a firefighter paramedic for the city of Akron. The young man and the team were grateful for my personal visit and encouragement, and this was all thanks to Mayor Malik's Street Team pilot program. It was really worthwhile experience, and I am excited for the future of this program. I'm here today to give an update on our Scout program, the Summit County Outreach Team. The pilot program began operating Tuesday, March 5th, 2024. The concept and final product are collaborations between the City of Akron, as far as our police department and our fire department, as well as Summit County Alcohol, Drug, and Alcohol Addiction, the Mental Health Board, ADM, and the Portage Pass Behavioral Health. Thank you. We're happy to have representatives here with us today from each of our partners. Thank you for taking the time to join us. The Scout program is a community-based initiative designed to provide immediate on-site assistance to individuals experiencing mental health or substance use crisis. The team responds Monday through Friday to low-acuity mental health calls at various locations such as homes, workplaces, public spaces, while offering rapid intervention and support. The goal is to stabilize the situation, reduce the need for emergency department visits or law enforcement involvement, and connect individuals with appropriate ongoing care by offering timely, compassionate, and specialized assistance. The Scout program aims to improve outcomes of those in crisis and alleviate the strain of emergency services. Over the past year, Scout program has steadily increased in participation with weekly growth in numbers. In total, the Scout team responded to 1,051 calls for services last year. Of those, 417 were for welfare checks. 399 were for residents experiencing psychological episodes, exhibiting abnormal behaviors, or for attempted suicides. 177 were follow-up visits, and 28 to assist police with citizens, and then the rest were just one-off incidents. We're pleased with the pilot program and the growth we've seen in terms of data collection, reporting metrics, and daily team functions. I also want to thank AFD paramedics that work on the Scout team. That's firefighter Somerville, firefighter Aquino, and firefighter Martin. And I also want to thank our EMS leadership team. That's Chief Caracas and Captain Garrett for their leadership. And I also want to thank all the brave women and men on the Akron Fire Departments for their sacrifice. Today, we're proud to announce the next goal is to expand the Scout team availability to Saturdays. And we plan on functioning that unit from 8:30 to 4:30 later this year. More information to come on that. I want to again thank all of our partners and the credible work that you've done. And along with our police department, thank you very much for your help, Chief Harding. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Chief. One of the numbers I just want to highlight quickly that Chief mentioned was those follow-up calls that the Scout team has been involved in. That means they're going back to folks who had had some kind of a crisis and making sure they're okay. They got the resources that they need, and they're moving on. And I think that's just such a great thing that this team is doing. So I just wanted to highlight that again. At this time, these are all some kind of existing programs that we've been talking about, but for something new, I'd like to welcome up Akron Mayor Shamus Malik.
Good morning. It's good to be with all of you this morning to talk about public safety. As we've said a lot, it is our #1 priority, and I think you see that exhibited today. We are focused on tackling gun violence, and we are really heartened to see some of the statistics that we shared this morning in terms of positive trends. I think it reflects a lot of amazing work done day in and day out by our APD officers, and I want to thank each and every one of them for their hard work in helping us create a safer community. We're going to continue to prioritize some of the efforts that Chief Harding mentioned, particularly our focus on partnering with state and federal partners around gun violence reduction, as well as the work we're doing to continue to build out community engagement and community policing, part of Deputy Chief Miller's new assignment with the 4th subdivision. We also heard from Chief Henderson just now about the co-responder program, and just as we are with Akron Police, equally proud of the work being done in Akron Fire, and we are very thankful for our partners with ADM Board and Portage Path Behavioral Health, without whom this pilot program could not have happened. It was years in the making. Thank you very much. Our police and fire departments, of course, are at the core of public safety, and they always will be. Public safety is also about layering in approaches that focus on upstream causes of violence, right? And so that's really the work that you heard Tony talk about in terms of our Street Team Credible Messenger program, right? I'm really proud of the work that's being done in this program so far. It is some of the first work that we are doing in the community violence intervention space, but we are looking at what other communities are doing, and we are working to build on the amazing work that we've seen thus far. But as I said, public safety requires us to prioritize upstream investments. It's also why you hear me say that economic development and education are public safety strategies too. This is about providing the mini grants we're providing to some of our home daycare owners to help improve our childcare ecosystem. It's even about planting trees to increase our tree canopy coverage and reduce the heat on a daily basis, which studies show decreases crime in communities. It's about removing blight, and you're going to hear about that from our Director of Neighborhood Assistance, Euphron C. Lash, very soon. Today, one area I'd like to focus on a little bit more is sports and wellness, and particularly sports and wellness as a component of public safety in terms of opportunities for our young people. So, Akron has a rich history in sports and athletics. I don't think that comes as a surprise to anyone, right? From the GOAT, LeBron James, the greatest of all time. And I actually said that in a mayors and police chiefs meeting on Monday in Chicago to an interesting reception. But from the GOAT to Olympians and Paralympians like Butch Reynolds and Grace Newfer and many, many more, we've developed an incredible legacy in this community when it comes to excellence in athletics. That legacy is really critical because it serves as an inspiration to the youth in our community, right? Growing up, I watched the 2008 Olympics, and I watched a kid from Akron, Ohio, not just, excel at the Olympics, but I watched how all these other superstars deferred to him because they recognized his leadership and his greatness, right? And it's really an amazing thing. It should be an inspiration to our young people. And that's why we want to put more of a focus on sports and wellness as a opportunity for our young people in this city. Today, I'm proud to announce that we are signing the Aspen Institute's Children's Bill of Rights in Sports, which focuses on creating a shared community understanding that all youth should have real, meaningful opportunities to develop as people through sports. We know that sports participation is a fantastic tool when it comes to improving public safety. Giving our youth an opportunity to work as a team, to learn skills, to develop coping strategies, to see the impact of their hard work. These are all things that help them develop and be successful and help them stay away from negative influences that we all are subject to as we're growing up. We want this to be an opportunity to provide a springboard for folks to healthy, safe lives. And the benefits don't stop there. We know the benefits include obesity prevention, cancer risk reduction, gender equity when we talk about girls in sports, social inclusion of folks with disabilities, and a huge shout out to Grace Newfer, who made us proud in the Paris Paralympics this past year. It's not just about that. It's also about addressing racial bias and restoring civic trust in a community. These are just a few of the things that Aspen Institute has really highlighted as the benefits of sports in our community. Now, the city of Akron already invests in youth recreation in a lot of ways. In our community centers, and you've seen our brand new community center at Ed Davis. You're going to see our brand new Patterson Park Community Center very soon. We have amazing fields and courts. We have our pools. We have awesome programming from our city recreation and parks division. In 2021, Rec and Parks started the Youth Empowerment Scholarship Fund. In the past 4 years, this fund, which they call the YES Fund, Youth Empowerment Scholarship Fund, has raised over $90,000 to provide nearly 1,000 young people with scholarships to help pay for fee-based sports in our community. And so today I'm excited that as we move forward, we're not just signing this Children's Bill of Rights through Aspen Institute. We intend to partner with their Project Play initiative and make a commitment to get to at least 64% of young people playing sports by the end of this decade. To reach this goal, we aim to make important investments into the sports and wellness space, and there are a couple of those I wanted to highlight today. The City of Akron, as you've heard me say a couple times in this role, has been a founding partner of Youth Success Summit, a new nonprofit designed to support all youth-serving organizations in our community, including sports and wellness organizations. And with the leadership of youth opportunity strategist Danico Buckley-Knight, we have made sports and wellness one of the 3 pillars of Youth Success Summit, specifically as a violence prevention strategy. In addition, in this year's operating budget, we've budgeted $100,000 for grants for sports and wellness for nonprofits, some of those nonprofits we were just talking about, which will help offset the cost of programs, fees, coaches training certifications, mental health supports, all kinds of things, safety and equipment. So you'll be hearing more about those grants later this month. In this year's capital budget, we've also committed $100,000 to design some esports gaming rooms in our community centers. And this was an idea that came directly from Neighborhood Assistance Director Euphran C. Lash and Youth Opportunity Director Danico Buckley-Knight, and we are excited to see what comes of that. I also want to thank our leaders from Youth Success Summit who are here with us today. The same goes for our partners with ADM and Portage Path Behavioral Health. We could not do this without your support. Thank you for the work that you're doing each and every day to prioritize the youth in our community. All across Akron, we are creating opportunities for young people to thrive on and off the field. So at this time, I'd like to welcome up Youth Opportunity Strategist Danico Buckley-Knight. I think that's the 3rd or 4th time I've said his name, to speak more about the Project Play initiative.
Thank you, Mayor, for saying my name 3 times. And as always, honored to be a part of conversations with the community. So as Mayor mentioned, sports and wellness is really vital in our community. I wouldn't be here without, leaders in the sports and wellness world who, shared, opportunities for me. So as a youth opportunity strategist, working with the community, we all thought that investing in sports and investing in wellness should be a priority of our administration. And by doing so, it really gives us an opportunity to, provide opportunities for our youth in an intensive, strategic way. So one of the things that we wanted to do was, in our strategic plan evaluation, we created a strategy that was heavy prevention. And in that strategy, we really wanted to focus on the out-of-school time space. And that's really defined as Monday through Friday from 3 to 7 p.m., the weekends, and the summertime. The data shows that you usually see an increase in crime, so we really wanted to have an intentional focus on the out-of-school time space. And initially, working with Youth Success Summit, there were 2 focus areas. The first area was around arts and enrichment, and the second area was around college and career readiness. And then Dr. Element Williams-Woods and we had this aha moment that, wait, if we're really having to focus on the out of school, which is Monday through Friday, the weekends, and then in the summertime, we absolutely need to incorporate sports because that is when it's held. It's held Monday through Friday, it's held the weekends, and it's held in the summer. So I am appreciative to work alongside Youth Success Summit to really bring sports and wellness into our community. And also what we want to do is work with Project Play. So over about a year ago, we started to develop a team called the Sports and Wellness Visioning Team, and we begun to meet monthly at House 330. Also, about a year ago, we started to develop conversations with Project Play. And what Project Play does, as Mary mentioned, is really elevate sports in the community to reach health outcomes. And what we're looking at doing is potentially working with Project Play to do some other work, such as a Project Play State of Report in Akron. They did a report in Oakland, California, and one of the things that was alarming was the data showed that only 21% of youth received 60 minutes of exercise, and of that 21%, only 9% of girls were receiving the 60 minutes of exercise. So from that Project Play report, a few positive things came from out of it. One was they created a Say Yes to Sports initiative, which added elementary school-based sports opportunities and also provided opportunities for other activities such as roller skating, skateboarding, soccer, tennis, and softball. All of those sports were the top 5 sports that girls identified as wanting to try. And then they also created a strategy working with the mayor, working with the school district, and working with the philanthropy community, which included Akron's own Steph Curry and Aisha Curry, who has a foundation called Eat, Learn, and Play. And they've committed to bringing in $50 million by the end of the 2025-2026 school years, as well as renovating up to 25 schoolyards for opportunities for youth. So we are looking at doing similar work here in Akron with Project Play, and we look forward to working with our administration, working with the community, and working with council to accomplish that task. So thank you all.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Danico, for that exciting announcement. Really looking forward to what this can mean for the city of Akron and for all the kids of Akron. So, as Mayor mentioned, public safety starts with police and fire, but it encompasses so much more than that. And one of those is with, if I could speak, the demolition of some of our blighted buildings here in the city of Akron. And so today, to give an update on our demolition program, I'm happy to welcome up Director of Neighborhood Assistance, Ufrency Lash.
The best dressed person on the
First of all, it's good to see all of you, and thank you for joining us. The City of Akron was excited to receive a funding through the Ohio Department of Development to assist with demolition projects this year. Removing blighted properties in our neighborhoods improves our appearance in these areas, increases value of the surrounding homes, and restores pride in these blocks. But most importantly, it improves public safety. Most, if not all, these structures are dangerous and in danger of collapse, and we know that sometimes folks like to explore them and live inside of them, and can be incredibly dangerous to our residents and sometimes our youth. So removing them is not only good for the neighborhood, but good for our safety. This year, we're proud to announce that in the first 119 days of the year, we have already demolished 88 blighted residential structures. We have 4 more to go from the grant funding, and then we'll focus on the rest of the demolition projects for the rest of the year. We've also been working through the large commercial properties. We need to we've taken down Rankin Elementary School already. That is actually down. I know many in the community are interested as to what we've been doing, but that has been taken down, and we're working on several other commercial properties. We're going to be focusing on that for the remainder of the year. We expect to remove an additional 50 properties for the remainder of the year. This will be a mixture of residential and commercial properties. While it's incredibly important to preserve the history that we have here in Akron, We also know that removing blight and taking down unsafe structures is equally as important. And when we have private owners who are not being responsible in securing and upkeeping their properties, unfortunately, it becomes a wider public safety issue, which we have to address for the safety and well-being of our neighborhoods and all of our residents. We've made great progress this year with this year's program, and we will continue to remove blight. And I want to thank the staff, my team, who've been doing an incredible job. And Mayor Malik, we thank you for placing confidence in us and getting this job done. Thank you.
Thank you, Francie. I promise we're going to get to questions here in just a minute, but to summarize and kind of finalize everything for us, I'd like to welcome up Mayor Malik again. Thank you.
I'm back. So, you've heard a lot here this morning, and I think it's reflective of the good work that our staff does each and every day. We have 2,000 people working for the city, and we have folks waking up every single day trying to make people's lives better. And I'm so proud of this organization. I'm proud of the people of this organization. I think that it doesn't mean we don't face our challenges head on, right? Done plenty of that. But it also means we have to take time and recognize the success and recognize the statistics and the data, whether it's good or bad, and recognize the good work, right? I want to just share one story that I think illustrates that, involving one of our school officers, Officer Cola Bianchi. She was recently on duty as an SRO when she observed a young man in distress. He was in the lunchroom holding his throat, unable to breathe. She intervened, she administered the Heimlich maneuver, and thankfully dislodged the obstruction and helped save this young man from serious harm. I want to thank her for her swift work, but I also just want to note that there are large and small things. There are life and death things like that, but there are small things each and every day that our whole team at the city is doing. And I want to thank again our whole team at the city. It's not just about the people who stand at the podiums. It's about everyone across our whole city. I also want to thank our partners. I've said from the beginning that I wanted to build a city government that's more responsive, more collaborative. And part of that is recognizing that these transformative things we cannot do by ourselves. So we are all going to continue working to improve public safety here in Akron. And I think we're going to take your questions, but I'm going to bring staff back up.
Okay, before we get to the Q&A, I do want to invite all of our partners, if you could please come and join us up here for this section. I know, come on, you can do it. We want to see your lovely faces up here. All right, and then for media, if you could just raise your hand if you have a question, and if you want to specifically address an individual person up here, if you could just mention that at the beginning of your question so we can get them up here in front of the microphone for you for the folks on our live stream. So we'll go ahead and open it up for questions. Go ahead, Bob.
On the credible messengers, can you give us a better understanding of how that works on a daily basis when they're called out, how they interact with you? And the three that were hired, I think when we originally did the story, there was talk that they might have criminal records, but they had turned their lives around. Is that the case with these three people? I know you can't give their names, but can you give us a little bit of background on that? Safeguards that are in place?
To answer the last part of your question, yeah, there's been some justice involvement, but the key is that transformational piece. Our team and our credible messengers are individuals who want to be a part of the solution, and they go above and beyond, and they come from the communities that are most at risk, are known in those communities, are able to interact and engage in ways that we in the traditional systems, quite frankly, have not been able to. So a lot of that work is reaching those who we have struggled to engage and reach and get them involved in some of the programs that you've heard today. So that's a lot of their work that they're doing while they're out there in the community, working with our youth organizations. They're in some fairly volatile situations where they've been able to really interact and engage with folks so that there isn't gun violence, there isn't conflict. They're talking about different ways to handle that conflict. So they're doing a lot of that work out there. I forget the first part of your question, but.
Just how do they get involved? What is the interaction like? Are they called? Are they just driving around looking for potential problems?
So again, because they're embedded in the community, again, they're known. So people are reaching out to them in a proactive manner if there may be some conflict. Because they're embedded with Minority Behavioral Health Group, we may get some calls from them as well. Because they're engaged in our juvenile court, they're in juvenile detention, they're interacting with youth there, gathering information and data, building relationships, expanding what those relationships are. So they're in lots of spaces building those relationships.
And lastly, on that issue, have they prevented anything from happening? Do you think any of their involvement has stopped something from happening or put somebody on the right path already?
I would say yes.
Nothing specific,
Can I?
Yeah.
I would say, this is a pilot program and, it's hard to prove a counterfactual. It's hard to speculate about these kinds of things. But, we've shared, the one example today. And I think that as we go forward and go through, evaluation process of the pilot, I think there'll be more and there'll be more, I think, illustrative narratives. But I think, we are at the early stages. So I do just want to kind of note that. And I would say with all of this, right, it is important to note, we have great work going on each day. You can't always draw a clear line between output and outcomes, right? We think a lot of the work that we're doing within our police department and across the community is hopefully driving some of these trends that we're seeing in crime statistics. But, it's not a controlled study, right? And so, we're going to keep doing the things that we think there's evidence to show that they're making a difference. And then we're going to continue showing you the data and hopefully proving that out.
Next question? Yeah, Anna?
Yeah, I actually just have a quick follow-up to what you were just talking about. So can you share specifically how you plan to measure the Credible Messengers program long-term? I know you had been looking for possible ways to measure it for at least the pilot program.
Sure. We're going to take both a quantitative and a qualitative approach. The mayor talked about there's some metrics that we're going to come up with in terms of the number of interactions that they're having in the community. At some point, we will speak in some manner directly to some results of what those things are. But it's also important to do that qualitative work and to hear from the community. And I think that's going to be key. They're going to tell us the good work that they're doing and how that's impacted their lives. That story we just told today is a positive outcome in terms of how they interacted, and we want to make sure we're telling those stories as well.
Yep. If I can add, and we are going to have a formal evaluation process as part of the pilot. And then a piece of that as well is that we've been having conversations with other communities to kind of hear about their experiences. So we recently talked to folks in St. Paul, Minnesota, and got some feedback from them, and are looking to see how we can make sure we have the best possible program, learn from other communities that are further down the road.
There's somebody else back here, I think that has. Yeah, go ahead.
Just talking about the Scout program, I know you guys gave that one example of how it's been helpful, but when you take the data of the crimes that are not obviously related to Scout and whatnot, do you guys feel like it's really taking a burden off of you in the police department?
Yeah, I'm just going to repeat the question real quick for our live stream folks. So they were asking about the Scout Team program and beyond kind of the data that we were sharing, if we feel like that's taking some of the pressure off of our police department to respond to some of those calls. So, Chief Harding?
Yeah, I can answer that. Thanks for the question. Yeah, absolutely, we do. Have a chance at roll call to go and talk to our officers who respond to calls, a lot of our CIT officers as well. Asked about the program, and we're really excited about what we're seeing. Not just that allows a different group with more resources to respond and handle these low acuity calls, but also then I think, as Steph mentioned earlier, kind of the follow-up and the outreach after that, which is maybe an area we don't have always the time to do that, to look for those outcomes. So we've been extremely impressed so far. We're really happy with the pilot program. That's why we're so eager to add an additional day in the partnership with fire and our community partners. We're 100% on board. It's been great.
Any questions? Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, question. Social media standpoint, how do we speed up communication between the city in a emergency situation to the public? And I'll give you some real quick examples. One, when we look at like a fire situation, if a main thoroughfare is being blocked, let's say Market Street Exchange, something along those lines, we need to be able to communicate, hey, you can't go down Market right now, there's a commercial fire in progress, all right? Two, lockdowns with schools. The last thing that we want is parents to be flocking to a school during a lockdown because all that does is compound the issue. So how do we speed up that process in terms of communicating to parents? And then the third one would be any kind of a SWAT team situation where there could be bullets flying around the yard. Like, is there a danger to the public? Those are the things that we get hit with all the time. And the term that we like to use is the streets know first. So you'll hear it from next door and the Ring Bell cameras, which, by the way, we love that program. But all those things will be hitting us, and we won't hear from the city for another 45 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
And now you guys are also deactivating your Twitter feed, so that adds to it as well. So how do we speed that process up?
So a couple things, right? I think first of all, we aim to share information as proactively as we can, right? And so take, for instance, a situation involving a police response or a SWAT response like you talked about, right? The officers on scene, the folks on scene are the ones who are determining what the perimeter needs to be, helping secure the scene. And so, they are going to be the ones who are able to set up what kind of barricades are needed or cordons or anything like that, right? And so, that isn't necessarily information that we need to proactively share out into the public. If there are situations like that, we do. I think we have been working to share information proactively, and I think there are a couple instances even of resharing stuff from 330 to go because that's who posted it first. Now, we also have to be very careful not to panic folks, that we have verified information, and we don't always have verified information, right? So I think we're trying to find that balance. We continue to try and find that balance. I think we had actually something when we were in Chicago. Chief asked me about something. I said, I saw that on 330 to go right before I walked into this panel. So I think it's an ever-changing thing, and we understand that news is very dynamic right now, right? I mean, this is a small city, right? We are all kind of aware of things happening by people texting us or people who are seeing it firsthand, right? But at the end of the day, we're trying to work through that. So I think, frankly, we do a pretty good job of that. I think we're certainly always open to more communication and dialogue about ways we can do that better, but we also do have to be careful not to panic folks, right? And so that's the balance that we often face. We are looking at ways we can better communicate. So we have a new code red system that's going to allow us to do some of those alerts that might not raise to the level of a phone alert, right? So help us with boil alerts and other things like that, where we can drop a geographic radius on something. That'll really help us. But I think when we need to, we can get the information out pretty quick. I remember last year, almost a year ago, standing here talking about the chemical fire, right? And we got that information out, I think, almost immediately, right? So if there's information, we try to get information out as quick as we can verify it and get it out. So the last thing on the Twitter, I do want to made a little bit of a stir online, so I want to address it, right? It's not a political thing. it's just a decreased lack of engagement, right? So if you go and look at the amount of engagement, it's just very little, right? And so, we can share something on Facebook if thousands of people interact with it, share it on Twitter and hundreds of people engage with it. I think we're going to be focusing on Facebook and on Instagram and on TikTok and on traditional press releases and on a lot of other things. If we thought we were reaching folks on Twitter that we weren't reaching in a different way, we wouldn't be doing that. But I think that's more about that platform's own problems, frankly. And I don't want people to think it's some big statement or some big symbol. It's really just about how we get information. I want to get information out to everybody.
Thank you.
Anna, go ahead.
This is for Chief Harding. So I was monitoring the dashboard last year, particularly about use of force, and it looked like it was increasing a lot last year compared to the year before. So I'm just curious your thoughts on why that might have been, and then also it seems to be a little bit down this year. So what has the department done to be contributing to that?
So we did see an increase last year. I don't have a root cause for that. Remember, we continue to train in de-escalation. I do believe we're doing the ICAT training this year. That's made an impact. That's an additional de-escalation school. But as we talk about de-escalation, I also think our call volume going down, as you saw the violent crime numbers going down, our officers by proxy are responding to less violent calls, which probably also assists with the decrease in those numbers. But I don't have a good quantitative analysis on why we saw the slight uptick last year, but we're definitely celebrating the decrease this year. Thanks.
Yeah, in the back.
My question is also for Chief Harding as well. It's been almost a year since the mass shooting last year. Any update on that?
Yeah, again, I'm just going to repeat it for our live stream. So the question was about the mass shooting incident from June 2nd last year and if there's any update.
So I don't have a large update on that. I will tell you we continue to work on that. I envision here in the next month we'll be coming up with some even more information and following up and talking through that as we get closer to the 1-year anniversary. But we still have a detective who's dedicated almost exclusively to that case, so he continues to work on that. We've seen a significant increase and continue to follow up with the victims and any leads that we get. And my plug again will be if anybody has any information, we absolutely want them to share it. We have several different ways to do that, so we would love to be able to get more information to understand the community's concerns around that case.
Thank you.
Sure.
Other questions? Anna again, go ahead.
On the sports initiatives, could you just talk a little bit more about the specific goals you'd like to see with the, I think it's called Project Play, kind of being involved? Like, is it, I don't know, changing trainings for coaches? Is it policy? Just any more specifics you can give?
Yes. A little bit of everything. So, just transparent. I feel like this is like that space of opportunity that we really can enhance. Going back, with our violence intervention and prevention program, there were a number of organizations who use sports and wellness as like their niche. But, due to how we kind of weighed organizations' kind of assessment, a lot of our sports and wellness organizations were high-risk organizations. So we kind of had an aha moment of like, well, wait, how is it that they're doing amazing work, but yet they're still a high-risk kind of organization? So we want to make sure that, one, we provide some funding and resources to our sports and wellness community, but we also want to make sure that we assist with what the community identify as focus areas. So funding and resources is a focus area. Training and resources is a focus area. Marketing and communication is a focus area. And just the overall experience that we give our youth and families in sports. So we're kind of working from under those 4 focus areas. And then working with Project Play, we want to kind of just share what we've learned with them, some of our findings, and then with them being kind of the national leaders of working with communities to enhance what they do well, but also enhance some of those areas of improvement. We look forward to that opportunity.
If I can add. I don't know that I can add anything more than that, but one thing I do want to share is if you go on the Project Play website, Danico mentioned the State of Play report that they've commissioned in a number of other cities, not just Oakland. And so if you look at some of those reports, they really detail, and I have, they really kind of detail the kinds of things that are focused on. So some places it's about facilities, some places it's about, access, some places it's about Again, it's usually about everything, right? But I think coming in and really, trying to get that sense for Akron, and then just making it more of a focus, right? This area needs to be more of a focus when it comes to funding and resources, when it comes to everything. I mean, I'm not just saying that because of my City Series tennis title.
Anyone else? Okay. We're going to conclude our press conference now. Thank you so much for coming out. If you have questions or want to try to grab an individual interview, please come on up and we'll try and get that set up. Thank you.
Thank you. I got to run to lunch.
Great job, Pilot.
Good job. Where is it? I was like, oh, actually, I don't know.